Welcome to Epicenter, the hub of innovation in the heart of Helsinki, where ideas come to life and creativity thrives, where innovation meets community. Get ready to learn, network, and make an impact. Let's go.
Okay, panel 3. Finland, do we have a problem? How to attract and retain foreign talent. So Finland, known for its world-class education system, vibrant startup ecosystem, and high quality of life, has been facing challenges in attracting and retaining foreign talent. Despite being ranked the happiest country in the world for 5 consecutive years and boasting an innovative economy, Finland has struggled to fully capitalize on these attributes to bring in international professionals. In the next 25 minutes, we're going to deep dive into factors contributing to Finland's difficulty in attracting and retaining foreign talent, while exploring potential solutions and strategies for improvement. Our amazing panelists will talk about integration, language barriers, diversity and inclusion in the workplace, encouraging international students to stay post-graduation, and how to foster a more inclusive startup environment. Are we ready for that? I know this one was the most, I got the most likes on this on my LinkedIn, so I know that, and we talked about talent at the very beginning, so I know that this is going to be a super important panel. So the first person I'd like to introduce leads the Learning and Relocation Services business unit at Accolade and has over 20 years experience in the language and learning industry. She is passionate about culture and language integration and lifelong learning. Together with her team, she assists organizations to relocate and integrate new hires and facilitate more culturally inclusive and language-aware workplaces. So please help me welcome to the stage Lisa, Head of Learning and Relocation Services at Accolade. Thank you so much. The claps are so loud today. So excited. Our next panelist is an energetic and inquisitive IT talent advisor at Finder Seekers. With a passion for diversity, equity, and inclusion, she is a skilled recruiter who always puts the candidate's experience first. Originally from Lahore, Pakistan, she loves to connect with people over a good cup of coffee and is known for her curiosity and great conversation skills. Recently, she conducted a survey to better understand the motivations and requirements of international tech talent working in Finland. So please give a huge hand to Nadia, who's IT talent advisor and partner at Finder Seekers. Next, we have someone who is a friend, because I get to see her all the time in the building, and we always have great chats about New York. Next, we have someone who works with around 100 foreign direct investors to gather insights for improving Finland's business environment for international companies and talent alike. She began her career at the Financial Times and worked 10 plus years for financial data and media companies in London, UK, including Thomson Financial and Bloomberg, before moving back to Finland. A huge warm welcome to Rosa, Director of Foreign Affiliate Services and Sustainability at AmCham Finland. Thank you. And last but not least, another person who's become a really good friend. Is a Chilean talent and learning specialist turned into a nomad. With 15 years of international experience helping organizations to grow and people to develop their skills. She is passionate about cultural integration, lifelong learning, innovation, and creating social impact. She has a degree in social psychology from the University of Helsinki, is the mother of a young Finnish citizen, and just returned to Finland after 20 years abroad. She works as a project manager in the city of Helsinki under the Talent Boost ecosystem, offering and creating services to improve the life and job opportunities of highly skilled international talent. So please give a huge round of applause to Sylvia, who's a project planner at the Spouse Program. Exactly. Thank you all. So 25 minutes is going to be really tough for this one. So don't expect any questions. I'm so sorry. I don't think we're going to get to that. So thank you all so much for being here. When I sat down to do research for this panel, I saw an article as far back as 2014 from Helsinki Business Hub citing a shortage of talent in Finland. Okay, I thought that was me. So the threat of talent shortage has been recognized for quite some time. But it would appear that measures taken seem to be insufficient, right? We can agree. So I want to start with the importance of international talent when it comes to growing the Finnish economy and helping Finnish growth companies. So we all know that with a more diverse team, innovation and revenue increases drastically. So Rosa, when we look at the needs of Finnish growth companies, how does foreign talent play a role in attracting investments from abroad?
Okay, so we at AmCham, we have a program called Launchpad USA. We've taken about 100 Finnish growth companies to the US successfully. And what we see is that, especially in the early stages of funding, the team plays a huge role. I mean, the product can change, the environment can change, but the team is stagnant. So in the very early stages, I think they really look at the compositions or the sort of collective skills of that team, how they can de-risk the business. But what is also extremely important is that they look at the market opportunities. And as you said, everybody knows that diverse teams, they deliver better results. But if you look at the market opportunities, then having diverse teams makes a huge difference because they do have the expertise, the experience from different markets. But something that also, I think is very important to understand is that Finland is a small country, so you can't study everything in this country. So, for example, if you look at the new technologies, there's many degrees that they don't even exist in Finland. So, if you want to have people that have that kind of expertise, you have to get it from abroad. And the final point on this is that. Nobody wants to be the only foreign talent in a sea of Finnish engineers. And I say this with lots of love. I come from a family of three engineers. But so if you have a diverse talent, you will also attract a lot more talent to your company. And if I may say one more thing, is that we also at AmCham we work and we talk a lot about FDI, so foreign direct investment, and that's why I work together with these 100 companies from 14 different countries. And we also say that the talent is becoming number one investment driver globally for investment. So if we want to attract investments to Finland, we need to have the talent for these companies. And the companies that we have in the network, we have the Googles, the Amazons, Pfizers, Bayers, and so forth. And they all say that the lack of talent is becoming a huge sort of business critical issue in Finland. So yeah.
I see head shaking over here. We agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. Yeah. We can expand on this, or I can go to another question.
No.
Yeah, okay. Well, hey, listen. So a recent study from Manpower Group found that 81% of Finnish employees are struggling to find necessary skills to fill their job vacancies. This is up from 70% the previous year. That being said, there are currently 26,000 unemployed foreign talents in the Uusimaa region, of which 1/4 are highly educated who currently can't find work. That math doesn't work in my brain, right? So someone please explain this to me.
Yeah.
What's happening there?
Right. Maybe I can speak a little bit about that. So that's true. The stats are true and they're coming through. We work with companies who have a lot of roles open, but then we struggle to find local talent. And the reason we did that survey as well was because we found out that most of the international tech talent here in Finland is struggling to find work. And we wanted to see what was the reasons behind it. And those who do find work, they are actually struggling to integrate into the culture in itself and the workforce in itself. So I think, and just to elaborate on what you were talking about, is that diversity necessarily doesn't mean to come from a different place. It also means diversity in the mindset. So what happens is that when somebody is a diverse person and joins your team, they bring a different skill set, but they also bring a different perception. So in their own way, they are highlighting issues which maybe are normal to you or to anybody else. So that's why it's so important talent. The struggle is that it takes a lot of effort to onboard. It takes a lot of effort to bring that talent into, a community which is already working, and that's where I feel, and the results also from the survey show that that's where it is. It's time consuming. It takes money. It takes effort. It takes a lot of thought. So that's why maybe the stats are like that. Yeah.
Lisa, what do you think?
I think what's really important to understand that every industry, every role will be affected by this. I'll share an example that's been a real eye-opener for myself. One of the services that my team provides is Finnish language training. And of course, we've seen the need really exploding in the couple of past years. And I think in the past 12 months, we've recruited about a dozen new Finnish trainers. About half of them are non-native speakers of the language. We wouldn't have been able to grow without these international talents. And then what we are also seeing is that our non-native Finnish trainers, they actually get a lot of positive feedback from their customers. They have gone through the process of learning the language, integrating to the company, to Finland themselves, and they are really well equipped to help others. Mm-hmm. And of course, in order to teach Finnish, you need to be a fluent speaker of the language, but you don't need to be a native speaker. And that's really something that I think each industry, each role, you need to think about.
And what I'm going to say is that, I don't know how many of you saw the Finnish speakers in the audience. There was an excellent article yesterday in Helsingin Sanomat by Rosa Meriläinen, who's a very well-known Finnish writer. And she said, that the biggest hurdle for growth in Finland is racism. And I could not agree more. And if somebody says, that racism doesn't play any kind of role in these people not finding job in Finland, is lying or doesn't understand, what the situation is. And also what I would like to say is that the accountability also lies within the leadership, in those companies that are not hiring international talent. It's the leader's job to make the Finnish employees understand. They have to have the empathy. They have to speak Finnish. In a way, they also teach Finnish to these international people within the organization. And if you do that, if you give them the time to study, during the working hours as well, give them 1 year. And they are fluent in Finnish.
Yeah, I would say that this is a very critical question. And we deal with these issues as well in the city of Helsinki. As you presented me, you explained that I coordinate the spouse program. So the spouse program actually what we do is that we take, care of the spouses of those talented that have been attracted to Finland because of work. And of course, the spouses are also very talented. And we have seen, of course, their struggles as well, to find jobs and to find a place. So our job as a city is to, kind of create conditions with companies as well, with the education system, with, the whole ecosystem that can actually work together towards, changing this fear. Mm-hmm. Because we can talk about racism, but we can also talk about other things that, kind of, cover this word. And in my opinion, fear is a word that, kind of cross out the whole racism, but also fear of learning the language. That's something that I have seen. I'm an international myself, and I know basically, what it means to learn Finnish. And when you are in a place that everyone is actually saying to you how difficult it is to learn Finnish, you become convinced that it's difficult. So I think this is a great point that you made, about having companies relax about the language thing. I think it's, much easier when it becomes something that is not unnatural, because it becomes, such a big issue that you start believing that, it's impossible to actually even get a job if you don't speak Finnish, which is not, in general, very true.
Yeah, you can point.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to talk about a few things while we do this. So I want to touch on the why. Why did you come? Why do you leave? And what can be done to keep them foreign talent from staying here.
Yeah.
And so you brought up your report, Nadia. And so, like I mentioned, Finland consistently ranks high in global quality of life, and it's known for its excellent work-life balance. The 2022 IMDb World Talent Ranking placed Finland first when looking at quality of life within skilled workers. And so with the report that you just released on sort of the same topic, can you tell me some of the reasons why international talent chose to relocate?
So chose to relocate to Finland? Yeah, okay. So one of the top reasons was safety and well-being. Another was high quality of life, and then there was, of course, quality education. But what's interesting here is that they chose to also stay for very similar reasons. So once the international students or somebody who's moved for high quality of life stayed here for keeping or maintaining that high quality of life, or being safe or looked after, and then interestingly, the only difference was people who got to work in the Finnish industry then stayed here for work-life balance. So of course they came for quality education, but then they see that there are different opportunities, and then they stayed here. But one interesting aspect from the report, that just to add up to your point, was a lot of people moved out of Finland because of their spouses, because their spouses didn't find the right support here. And I see that in my work every day as well. We want to get a candidate on board, and they say, of course, naturally they're going to speak to their partners. And sometimes the partner says, no, it's going to be a little difficult for me to be there. So they make the decision to move out. So that happens. And spouses play a very crucial role, or your partner in a way. That happens. So, and then people also choose to leave because we asked them that, why do you not want to stay in Finland? So I think most of the international talent chose to leave because of not being able to feel, part of the community in a way. So it's difficult if you don't speak the language. If you are somebody who is an introvert and cannot talk to people, I don't see how they would be able to integrate without any help into the culture or the community. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about integration, because the processing times for immigration of highly skilled workers has improved pretty significantly, right? Like you can get a residence permit process pretty quickly, but there's still work to be done. When I moved to Finland, opening a bank account was one of the hardest things I ever experienced, and there are other things along the way. But in addition to smoother processes for opening a bank account, once international talent has relocated, what can the public and private sector do to ensure a smoother transition?
Well, I can start. We have something called the AmCham Strategic Talent Working Group, and we come up with a couple of sort of key recommendations how to make this situation better. But there are two things that I wanted to sort of bring across here. The first is that a lot of the foreign talent, especially if they work in healthcare sector, they would like to bring their families to Finland, and at the moment, you cannot do that unless you earn 2,600, net per month. And this I feel that is deeply unfair, because I think it's half of Finns don't earn that, and so that is something that needs to change as soon as possible, because a lot of these people as well, they come from very collective cultures, and having your family here is absolute must. Otherwise, they will not stay for very long. And the other thing is that, and this has been talked a lot, and I'm sure you know about this, more than I do, but it is the international school places. And we, in our network, we have a lot of these highly skilled experts, that are also highly mobile. So they are maybe the international CEOs that come to Finland for 2 to 4 years. And they need to be able to, to put their children in schools, ASAP. And especially if they have children that are in the middle school age, which is yläaste in Finland, there are no places. And I had lunch with the Helsinki International School CEO a week ago, and she said that the school is full. The school has been full for a long time. They have a waiting list, and she has people begging that, can you please take my children in? And they won't come to Finland unless we sort this out.
Well, actually, in the city of Helsinki, we have services for people who are planning to come to Finland. We have the International House of Helsinki that actually has info sessions every month, and we explain, what are the steps that you need to take, and we give information about, for example, schools, the health system, banking as well, but especially what are the steps that you have to take in order to come and in order to stay, and then of course we try to have this soft landing at certain point, with the spouse program, for example, and we try to create a sense of belonging because we are quite sure that what you said is pretty, like you said, is absolutely correct. If your spouse is not happy, you probably are more likely to leave. We say, like, happy spouse, happy house, It's like happy wife, happy life. But it's actually a very crucial point, if you bring your family, you expect all of your family members to feel welcome and to find activities that you love doing and also having a social network. So we try to provide at least ways to actually get all of those elements so you have a better and more balanced life. Of course, it's not always easy. I think companies play a crucial role, and of course companies also play a role in hiring talent that is here, because one thing is the talent that is coming from abroad. We see that is needed, and and we see a large number of people coming. But then I think that we need to work also with companies in order to create better conditions for those talented people who are already here and came here because career reasons, working reasons, study including. So I think that at least from the public sector, we're looking at this, very closely, and we have lots of different programs in different cities and along Finland. All of it is under the Talent Boost ecosystem. So I think that that's a great advancement because we are talking. For example, the fact that we're here talking about this, I think that's a great opportunity to also show what we do, from our own cities.
Yeah. So Lisa, there's a big expense, right, to relocate talent and onboard talent, which only makes sense to do more to make sure that they stay. When we look at language, opportunities, inclusivity, belonging, what can companies do to better integrate students that are already here, international talent, in the workspace to sort of ensure long-term stability?
Well, first of all, when relocating international talent, I think it's really important to look at the big picture. We help our customers with the relocation process, with the bank accounts and so on, but a lot of focus is then put on also on finding your feet, the school places for kids and supporting the spouse to settle down. So really hands-on stuff, how to get started in Finland. And I think more and more companies are realizing that it's not about the employee themselves, but it's also about the family. So take into account everyone. Yeah.
And I think for the first time, you have to understand, like in the beginning, that what does it mean to really belong to a place? So it starts with the mindset. It of course, there are practicalities, but then it begins when do you say that you belong to a place is when you can be yourself. So it needs to come from if you join a new workplace. So it's the company's responsibility in a way, or your team's responsibility to ensure that they understand you. And only when you feel like as an international talent, you feel understood, then you can say, okay, I belong here, or maybe I'm going to belong here in a few years' time. And of course, that applies to family and then friends, people you care about. When they're like looked after, you feel that they're happy, then that's how it is. A few practical things that the companies can do to make that happen is, of course, have a cultural understanding. Then understand that somebody might need a little bit more onboarding in terms of how the laws work, or how do they find, how can they actually enroll in a Finnish course if they want to, what else can they do. Some of the companies also have mentorship and buddy programs that helps international talent, specifically because I am a recruiter, so I'm going to talk about how they can integrate into the work life. But yeah, so these are some of the practical things that they can do. And I think just giving them that sense, and I think it's important to understand that being an international talent doesn't mean that you look different or you think different. You have the skill set. So companies need to change that mindset that, the person will not work with the work culture or something like that. They need to see that they are skilled, they are educated, they can bring value, and that should be it.
So like I mentioned, 25 minutes goes really fast. really fast. So I'm gonna leave this with one last thing, okay? So in a perfect world, right, we've talked about happy spouse, happy house. We've talked about integration, and language courses. In a perfect world, we'll just go through, quickly take a minute or two. How do you attract and how do you keep them to stay? Just in your brief. Yeah,
You're starting with me?
You, and then we'll go. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that it's important that when we attract people to Finland, we're very honest about, what they can actually do here and how things are. And I think that, that starts with good information and filter information as well. Because I think that we have a lot of information, but we need to really, kind of focus on what is really, good quality information. And I think that, it's funny what I'm going to say. Maybe it's not very, politically correct. But
have you met me?
But I think that we need to, like an international community, we need also to work together, to kind of change things and the way things are seen. I think that culture can be flexible and transformed. And, we are having this great opportunity, for example, to be here and talk about this. So I think that what we need to do is to make sure that in Finland there is place for people and they can feel, that they are in a place where they can raise a family, or they can, convert, or they can, go again back to school, which is, by the way, something that attracts a lot of people, the way that lifelong learning here in Finland, for example, has become, at the heart of education, an important value. So I think that when we are really honest about what Finland is about, and we also work together and we actually cover the needs of the people who are already here, who have been brave enough to be here, and we hear and we actually take into account also their way of seeing things, I think that we are on the good track to attract and retain.
So it's embracing being the happiest place on earth, but also being honest about sometimes that it's not. No, but we have to go to the next one. We could have a drink and talk about that.
Yeah, perhaps.
Rosa.
Well, when we talk to the decision makers about how to attract investments, we always say that you need to have a very welcoming attitude, and I think that goes with the international talent as well. And I wrote down some things here. I think it's a bit of an elephant in the room, I guess, is also the political environment makes a huge difference. So, we really hope that, the next government, whatever it looks like, is going to have as a priority to attract talent and foreign investments. And, then the other thing is that what some of the CEOs have said, that what helps them to retain their employees is making sure that they have a long-term career plan. So since COVID, actually many employees, even the young ones, looking at my colleague here, Han, they want to stay in one place for longer, and they want this 5 to 10 year career plan to feel secure. And I think this is something also that the CEOs are doing. And the last thing is that the broken Finnish should be celebrated, just like when we go to UK, for example, broken English is celebrated and is okay. So those are my top tips.
English.
Yeah.
Lisa.
Yeah, there's been a lot of conversation about the welcome culture, how to make sure that everyone feels welcomed. And I think that's something that we as a nation should look at, and what that means both to attracting and then retaining the talent. And I couldn't agree more about the language. Also, broken Finnish is totally okay.
Yeah. And I would say maybe for a change, focus on the similarities rather than the differences to attract the talent, and then retain them by treating them like you would treat anybody else. So just go with the flow. If they're a good employee or a good class fellow or something, just treat them like that, and it should work. Yeah.
Actually, to add to that, I think you said exactly the right thing. Is the somebody told me that we should stop treating international talent or speaking about them as talent. They're people.
Yeah.
So we're all people. I think that makes a huge difference how you
The
address.
only thing I have going for me is that I'm from New York. People really that gets me into a lot. No. Hey, so
I think there's other things as well. Joey,
Yeah,
but,
if you give me 10 seconds, I think that you made a very important point. When we mark differences too much, the barrier becomes, bigger. So, and the bridge that you have to build is even bigger. So I think concentrating in, what is common to all of us, I think is a very good way also to start thinking.
Awesome. So as Finland continues to navigate its demographic challenges and strives to attract and retain global talent, it's vital that we as a society remain open to new ideas, learn from best practices, and work collectively to create a more diverse and innovative future.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us. One huge hand for Lisa, Nadia, Rosta, and Sylvia.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joey.
We're going to take a
Thank you
shorter
so much.
break this time and start with our Web3 creativity or great conversation. Sorry, I need a glass of water.